Kia ora, New Zealand. Welcome to Sweet Chain Live. My name's Matt Drake. This is episode 110, and apologies for tonight. I'm actually on my own tonight. Haven't been able to get hold of Brady, which is very unlike him. He's probably out on a golf course somewhere designing something. So we'll hear from him shortly. But I've still got a packed show for you this evening. First up, though, I'd like to have a big thank you to Prosaic Crit, Innocuous Mind, and Warbus 2000 for following us on Twitch. Thank you so much. It really does mean a lot, and we do appreciate the follow. Tebnut, thank you so much for the follow. Tom Strawberry says, "Bring back the old music." Yeah, look, I'll see if I can find it. Hey, it's a bit lost now. We did have it for some time, and then it's kind of gone. So yes, we'll see if I can get hold of it. But anyway, got a packed show for you tonight. Let's see if we can get us to go like that. There we are. That's a little bit better for us, isn't it? Right, there we go. All good. Right, now another confession. Today's been is really been a bit of a disaster, honestly. I've been trying to get the bot working that does hot scores. Bot, I hear you say. Yes, that's right. No longer am I scrolling through UDisc, going through each of the individual courses and picking out the hot scores. No, I've got a far more sophisticated way of doing that now. I've got a bot which I quickly run. That shows that basically scrapes through UDisc, goes through all the pages, lifts out the results I need, and makes it a lot easier for me to find the results that I want. We've got some results that have come in, so let's see if we can get hold of those ones in the meantime. Starting off in the North Island this time. We'll start off at Berhampore, and it's Ben Morrison who hits 7 under par at the Hills course in Berhampore. Very good score from Ben. Over at Hikoikoi, it's Brady Cush who hits 1 under par, and up at Harcourt Park, Ben Morrison hits 3 under par. Up at Linklater, it's Landy Lad who hits 6 under par, and Amy Whitmore hits the hot score at Maryland's with a 3 under par round. Callum Petman is 1 under at Spa Park Red, and at McLaren's, Joey Parks hits 1 plus 1. And it's Richard Waterson who hits 16 under par at Henderson's full 20. Now, unfortunately, I've not been able to get the South Island hot scores, so I do apologise to people in the South Island. We will get them for you. Next week, we will do a double header of hot scores, so make sure that you get that back in. Another vote for the old music. Bring back the old music. Okay, I shall make it my goal to try and find the that old music. It's clearly a fan favourite, so we'll see what we can do. Now, in the last week or so, we've also had a tournament at Paradise. This was the Paradise Plates, which occurred last weekend over the the Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. You may have seen the results. You wouldn't have followed live because the signal out in Paradise is rubbish, but the results came through nonetheless. And let's see if we can get the a view of it, shall we? Nope, that's not the one. That's the one right there. So looking at the Paradise Plates results, let me get it on my screen now. There we are. Right. The Paradise Place results. Simon Feasey leads the MPO division, or wins the MPO division by 2 shots over Ben Wheellake. It's really that final round. They were tied up going into round 3, but a 1004 rated round was enough for Simon Feasey to take out the win. Jimmy Tufu hit the hottest round of the tournament with a 10-12 rated third round, 57 to lie in third, 1 shot ahead of Ryan Cambridge and Francis Orange and Henry Pearson, both tied on 3 under. MP40, Mikey Yu finishes second overall in the tournament with a 13 under par, beating out Tom McKay, who hits 10 under, and those two were comfortably ahead of the rest of the field. In MA1, a little bit of controversy here. So I wasn't at the event. However, I was told about what happened, and what happened here in the MA1 division is that let me just stick that down the bottom. Oh no, not that far. There. We had Cooper Solis and Steve Brownhawk going into the final round, and as you can see there, Cooper Solis. Steve Brownhawk, had a 2-shot lead over Cooper Solis, who had a 2-shot lead over Patrick Ludlow. Cooper Solis and Steve Brownhawk finished their round, and then went to go and play their playoff round, their playoff holes. And then Patrick finished and went, wait a minute, I finished on the same score as them. Why aren't I involved in this playoff as well? Much to the confusion of everybody, I'm sure. Anyway, after a bit of conversation, the playoff round was replayed, and Patrick Ludlow took it out. So yeah, congratulations to Nelson's Patrick Ludlow for taking this out. Especially good considering that I understand he'd had a bit of a sit down and a rest, and maybe had kind of switched off his disc golf brain for a moment prior to taking up his round for his playoff. So very well done to Patrick for taking out the win there. There he is. Elsewhere in the tournament, Alexandra Williams wins her 3rd tournament of being in New Zealand. She's easily beat out Nikki Day by 40 odd shots, and that's her 3rd win since being in New Zealand. Her next event is back in Australia, by the looks of it, in April. So yeah, very well done to her. And in MA40, James Sutton takes out the event, which looks to be his very first PDGA sanctioned event. So well done, James. Sue Brown takes out FA40, and Brendan Love wins in a playoff over Wayne Brown. So congratulations to those two for making it into the top 2. Excellent. So, yeah, bit of fun at Paradise for everybody, I'm sure. Now, when it comes to upcoming tournaments, we've got a few that are in the pipeline. Now, I know that the major season's finished with, and it's a lot, a lot of the fuss and a lot of the kind of hubbub about future tournaments has perhaps died down a little bit. However, we do have some tournaments coming up. The first one is the Bottle Lake Open, which is on the 1st and 2nd of April. This is being held in Christchurch. There's 5 spots left according to Disc Golf Scene. So if you want to play in that, then get yourself involved. And you may want to play in this. As it's being filmed, at least the final round's being filmed by MDG Media, and it's going to be a good little course. So I spoke to someone today actually who played the Bottle Lake golf course and was very complimentary of it. Next up is the Generation Series number 4 on the 16th of April at Montana Flats. The series finale is 2 weeks later at Jardine Park, and sandwiched in the middle is Brook Park Brave up at Te Kuiti. Registrations for those are all available on Disc Golf Scene if you want to get involved. Then we have the Middle Earth Open, which is being held in Wellington on the 5th and 7th, 5th to the 7th of May. Hands up if you're going to that one. Drop a comment if you're coming to Wellington for that. It's going to be held at Harcourt Park plus one other park. We would ask Brady, but he's not here, which park that is. But it's a secret to be disclosed park where we're going to have a brand new pop-up course. So if you fancy playing disc golf in a park that you've not seen. So yeah. The Lords and Ladies of Lismore in Wanaka is on the same weekend. So yeah, if you're not coming to Wellington, get to Wanaka and play some disc golf in Lismore. The Women's Disc Golf Day, an event's being held up in Auckland on the 13th of May, and finally again in Auckland, the Waitawa Coastal Cup in Auckland on the 3rd and 4th of June. Not seen registration open for that yet, so keep your eye out. I'm sure Mike Foley will post some details when they become available. Dreams. Bensound is the old music and is on YouTube and streaming apps. Okay, well there we go. So if you do want your bit, your slice of the old music, then head over and search that up, and we'll do our best to get it on the show next week. We'll go back to reminding everybody what that sounded like. Right, now, with Paradise that we've just had, we've got some power ranking updates. So let's head over to the power ranking updates. Over in FPO, there's very little change. Now, this is largely due to a couple of factors. One, Alexandra Williams has maintained her spot in 3rd place, but hasn't done enough yet to push herself into 2nd, largely because Michelle's ranking there is based on tournaments upon tournaments upon tournaments. We went through this in a previous stream about how that gets affected, and very few of the other players in the top 20 were playing this weekend, apart from Hayley Flintoff, who played in MPO. So shout out to Hayley for playing in MPO. Because she played a different course to the rest of the ladies, she essentially played, as far as the rankings are concerned, in a tournament of 1. So she won the tournament, but we can't apply any kind of ranking change because we don't know how other competitors would have done on that course, and so it's very difficult to be able to apply any kind of multiplier. As it is, she's out front anyway, and so yeah, that's had no effect on the FPO division. In the MPO division, the big movers here are Mikey Yu, who moves up 3 spots to 7th place, and Ben Wheellake, who moves up 3 spots thanks to his 2nd place, 3rd overall, up to 11th. Sebastian Faulkner, Willie Taratner, Andy Davey, Jake Brennan, and Ashton Clark all move up, courtesy of some poorer performances from those in that bracket previously. The power rankings will be updated on the Sweet Chain Music website tomorrow morning, so you'll be able to head over there and check that out. And also, if you head over to our Discord, then we'll also be putting up some some bets, some tipping for the Bottle Lake Open. That's this weekend in Christchurch. So if you want to head over to the to our Discord and get involved in some tipping, who do you think's going to take out the Bottle Lake Open this weekend? Then you can do that over on our Discord. Look out for the post that's going to be coming tomorrow morning. Now, also today, just wanted to very quickly go over some future shows. Now we've got some exciting things in the pipeline, and I'd actually really like to hear from you guys as to what would you like to see in these shows going forward, either as regular features or as one-offs. So we got a few things that are coming. One, we got a quiz. I know I've spoken about it before, but we're going to do it. We're just working on a kind of question set. It's going to be a vast quiz. It's going to cover the history of New Zealand disc golf. So if you're looking for a quiz that's like, what's the flight numbers of this disc, you won't find that. It's more about a history of New Zealand disc golf quiz, which we'll be getting into, which will be a lot of fun, and you'll be able to play along at home via an app that's attached if you're watching through Twitch. And if you're watching through YouTube, we'll see what we can do. We might be able to work something out. Stats. We need a stats episode. We've collected a lot of data at Sweet Chain Music on PDGA, from stats from the PDGA, and also we'll be getting some stats from UDisc as well. And we need to go over that in a little bit more detail. And we're going to have a few dedicated episodes to just really breaking that down. And I know for a lot of people, stats and numbers can be quite daunting. Some people love it, but some people can find it quite daunting, and so what we'll be doing is we'll be trying to visualize a lot of this stuff for you as much as possible, and putting it into pictures and tell stories about what the statistics tell us, not just give you a whole, just flood you with numbers. Last year we did that with some pretty cool motion charts that showed the movement of how people have performed over the course of the years, and it really told a bit of a history of how New Zealand disc golf changed, which was great. The other thing that we really want to get doing is the Sweet Chain Discourse. So this is a new feature that's going to be popping up every now and again, where me and Brady will be asking ourselves some spicy questions, some real crowd dividing questions. One of us will take one side, one of us will take the other, and it may not be that they that we agree necessarily with the point of view that's being put. But what we're going to try and do is convince and argue and convince you, the public, on that particular point of view. All right. So they're intended to be divisive. They're intended to be kind of crowd splitting and a little bit clickbaity to a degree. But we'd like to know. We've got a few ideas of what some questions that we can ask are that would really split the crowd. What we want to hear from you is, do you have any? Pop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear if there's any spicy questions that you'd like us to ask ourselves, and then have a discourse about it. And we'll obviously include people from the chat to have their say. It'd be really good to know what people think, especially on the more spicy topics. So watch out for the Sweet Chain Discourse. That's going to be coming in a few episodes. Biscotti asks if Haley or any other FPO plays enough MPO rounds, do they end up with a ranking on both charts? Now, so theoretically, yes, they would. However, it's not happened yet. So Haley, or indeed any other FPO player, would have a ranking within the MPO division. It would only work that way round. You would only have a female player playing in the mixed pro open division. And so, however, she won't appear in the rankings probably for two reasons. One, it would be remarkable but unlikely that she'd make it into the top 20. So you'd be able to find her on our website, but not necessarily make the screen that we had before. The other thing is, she'd need to play at least 4 tournaments in the last 40 in order to qualify for the rankings at all. And that applies to everybody. So someone like myself who hasn't played 4 tournaments out of the last 40, I don't appear on the rankings at all, even though I played Nationals and South Island Champs most recently, because I've not played very much previously to that, and hopefully after Wellington, Middle-earth Open, that'll change. But you need to, in order to qualify for the rankings, you need to have played 4 of the last 40. It's the reason why Nate Perkins isn't on the rankings. He's currently top in terms of power, in terms of dominance index, which is the scale by which the rankings are, by the scale on which people are ranked. He's currently top, however, because he's only played 2 tournaments and hasn't played 4 or more of the last 40. He's not in. And that's also the other reason why people like Damien Peters, who were an absolute force to be reckoned with previously, and left the game on a high, at least in terms of participating in New Zealand. They're not in the rankings anymore because they've not played 4 of the last 40, even though they played way more before that, and their ranking is maintained because they've not played any tournaments. Their ranking, their dominance index can't change, and so, if you know what I mean, that's kind of how it works. So as to act as a bit of a filter to only keep players in who are relevant, then we put in this filter that says you've got to have played 4 of the last 40. So, and we saw that actually last week when Alexandra Williams in the FPO division, which has a slightly different filter. It has, I think, 2 of the last 40 to account for the smaller field sizes in FPO. Alexandra Williams was a new new entry into the FPO charts because she played 2 tournaments prior to after the last weekend, which is what Topor. So so that's the so Mbiscotti, yes she would. However, for a couple of reasons, it's unlikely that it would make it onto the show. And actually, do you know what? I think there's probably an issue with tournaments in New Zealand if Hayley or indeed any other FPO player is in a position where they have to play in MPO or in MA1 or in not a female division, because I think that should be catered for and accounted for. And I appreciate that she might be the only one who wants to play and whose rating might be too high for FA1, for example. But I'd like to see us perhaps as a community do more to ensure that those situations don't happen and people can play in the division, their first division of choice, whatever that might be. So yeah, so we've got a few things on the horizon that are coming. So if you want to get involved in any of those, then give us a shout. It's the Bottle Lake Open this weekend down in Christchurch. If you're playing, very best of luck. If you're tipping, very best of luck. We'll see you on the discourse on the Discord very shortly, and you can look out for some new features in the shows in the next couple of weeks. I'm off now to see if check that Brady's okay and to try and get this bot working for South Island Hot Scores. It'll be back for next week, I promise. But wherever you're playing disc golf, take it easy, play well, get some birdies, and we'll see you next week.